Hi Pisces, this is your Scorpio season reading, November 2024 reading and Venusian wave. All information to work with me one-on-one is below. There's a sale going on for the 15th of November to the 17th for the full moon in Taurus, which is when Saturn goes direct in Pisces, which is why we're here now. Thank you for being here. This will come out on that day, along with the Taurus video as well. It's funny because you're one of the first signs I wrote notes for, though every time I sat down to do it, and I did, it's just the energy has shifted so much since the beginning of the month, and I don't know if you're feeling it. I'm sure that you are. But anyway, the Patreon link for the extended video where we get even more in depth, excuse my communication, it's like in depth into the readings, and it's a subscription, but there's so much there that you can uncover, and we can uncover together throughout the rest of the month until the next one of your videos comes out. All right, let's see what's going on for you. I do have notes, but let's see what's going on for you intuitively. I think for some of you, you're genuinely in this space of, I think you were just in a space of, for a while you were listening too much to the outside, then you came inside and kind of put a no, and now there's this, you finding your own flow in what's happening, because, and we'll break down the cards a little more separately and then together again, just so you know. The Five of Swords, so we have all these cards. The Five of Swords next to the Lovers. Jupiter's been showing you a lot about the situations that you're in and how luck influences them, because it's been in Gemini. Regardless, there's been some things you've needed to hear that have their own time of when they're supposed to and meant to come out in your life. And at times of doubt where you were looking at what was, and it just seemed better. Yet there's been this opportunity for growth, demanding your space, security, and your self-expression. And for a long time, this situation has and had, because of the way it went, when things were great, they were great. And that this is for any like more abusive situation if you're in one. But again, if you're not, this can still be taken on a lighter spectrum, because like I'm reminded, sound and light are a spectrum, as are we. We are sound and light. Beautiful. And the more you understand that, the more you know that your spectrum is not here, but you learned a lot here and you gained a lot here, and that's why you're now here. Anyone in your position at any time would have to outgrow its space. You're water that keeps expanding, and if you can't grow with your space, you need to be able to expand in the way that you're meant to. And every situation you've been coming and running into that causes you and needs you to step into your power, into your growth, and find the security within yourself and within what you would do. Anytime you're in a situation, Pisces, where you're thinking, well, I think I would do it that way. Do it that way. Do it that way under the guise that you can, and expanding the space of what traditionally works, but what can work within that tradition, and explore and expand it in ways that are mutable. Saturn and Pisces is what I'm talking about, essentially. But you're learning to see the risks that are in front of you and for you specifically, because you realize more than anything that when you see something a certain way, you need to show people. You need to show people what that is, and that's how you speak their language, right? So it's taking from what you've learned. It's not, and you know it's neither bad nor good, but every situation has caused you, whether it was from a very domineering, demanding figure in your life growing up that translated into different people that you've worked with or worked for, or friendships, that you now have a sense of security in when you know and how unattached to be at this time. And the risks that you're taking are considering your worth, your security, what you need, how much you want to make because of the lifestyle you want to live. And you're allowed to expand in that way regardless of what someone else puts on you. You're allowed to expand how you see, and you feel more secure in that, realizing that's all anyone else is doing, right? There's just this, even if you've known that, there's this this moment that you have, and it could be reflecting about a certain structure, situation, or job that you've been in, or relationship that you've been in, and how that relationship dynamic shows you how many other spaces you've been in with that same dynamic. And because you're altering, it's altering your dynamics. And it may feel disruptive for some of you. Hearing this feels like something you just weren't aware of, but at the same time, it brings you more I think what you're surprised about is how this information hits you and how it causes your mental health to completely shift. Yeah. Put those back in there. You being in more command and more of a risk-taking person, coming from the heart, coming from a knowing, coming from a trust within you. You may start or have been consulting perhaps with someone who understands this about you, or understands you and sees you. And it's really good to have those people in your life. So if you're building a rapport with someone in that way, continue to go. Move forward, because the situation that you were in, and if you had and felt guilty or doubt about yourself because of the part you played, it's time to forgive that. That's a huge thing that's coming up, is forgiving the self for not knowing, for whatever it is that you have felt shame, guilt, or fear about. It's attending to that part of you, yet also acting as if that is healed, because within that it heals the way that where that subconsciously comes out in other areas, because you're not giving yourself the space in those areas to feel and accept and acknowledge yourself, or you're not allowing others to in that way. So avoiding it will make it more of a void, so your attention is being drawn elsewhere. And the tower came back out because we're going to talk about Pluto. I'm doing a separate video that will also be out before Pluto shifts. Just an intuitive pull where the signs are and the houses, and it's the 12th house for you. So Pluto's shifting into your 12th house, and it was just coming from the 11th house of community, and you probably changed a lot whether you changed a lot in the same community or you shifted amongst many different communities. You've learned how people are and how you've interacted with people, and you're learning to build maybe your own, or what you add to a space, and what good fortune comes from these relationships, and then what autonomy you need to give yourself as well. So now the revolution, the transformation, the mysteries that come out, the power dynamics that come out are in the 12th house. Things you weren't aware of, what I was just talking about. Things you weren't aware of. And it's time to forgive yourself, because that's something that will be ongoing, depending on who you are in life and what you believe of yourself. But what's being revealed is more of an authenticity in a space where you're willing and open to learning, especially in the ways of work, in the ways of death, transformation, mystery, wealth, learning to see where you can harness more of your power or not give it away, where the power dynamics are in your life and where they can show up in work because of it. And you're becoming so aware that it's giving you the power to choose differently. And within that, it's clearing up a lot in your subconscious so that you can learn more and drive forward in the way that makes sense to you. Now, this may come as a relief and a breath of fresh air in some ways, but this will also be a time within the next 20 years of great thought. There will be, yes, lots of thought-provoking and communicating, and how you decide to communicate it, and where you might need a fixed place. You might start creating or doing something just simply for you so that you can communicate what's being not only communicated to you and what you're learning from yourself, what you're being revealed to at this time, but how you can make sense of it. So this is also a very clear look of your intuition and who you are, and there you may feel like just this relief on and examples of how what you hear and what you know doesn't shake who you are. That no matter what happens, there's something very much instilled of you of who you are and how you go about your life and how you go about risk-taking and how you go about shifting, and you'll feel it. You'll feel the shift happen. And it will feel powerful. Something very amazing that comes to light and gets settled in is just your sense of worth. Something happens where you become you just become so sure of who you are right now, of who you've been developing into, how that guides your decisions moving forward, and who you work with and who you relate to, right? There are places where you're okay with not having so much opinion or attention to, but then there are other ways in which you feel very called, even unknowingly to yourself, that have arisen within you. And you're seeing yourself clearly, and if there's someone in your life or anyone in your life that is not accepting or is not moving through this as you would wish, it's up to you to decide whether you care about their opinion and if that's going to matter in the long run, and how much of you at times have relied on their opinion or relied on what they think of you instead of you thinking of yourself, Pisces, and maybe where that has dominated aspects of your life, including how it's influenced your doubt. You might want to sit with yourself more and find your own belief, or what you choose not to have too much energy invested in. You're now taking a look at what's extremely important to you and how you want to move forward with that in your life. And with that, of course, we'll always have opportunities flowing right to you. This is also an amazing shift of just knowing yourself and what fruits come along with that. It's about being patient and knowing that this phase and this moment, especially next week after this comes out, as we shift into Sagittarius season, that as much as a fire sign, a Sag is, it's time to be patient. It's being patient, because patience, see if you can stay with me, I really deeply believe this, and I've brought this through my own healing. You're digesting just as much as you are giving, and just as much as you are receiving, and you need that time and space to digest and not to rush anything. Feel every good thing that is happening to you. Feel what you've been and are still creating in your life. Feel the change flow through you so that you can integrate it and know in your mind, you have a peace in your mind. There's a settling within and trusting the process that comes through with this change. All of a sudden, you may even feel like you'll know it when you need to. You feel more like this part of you that's been in and out the past few years, and Saturn is going to remain in your sign for a little bit longer, and now the eclipses are here, but there is something you have that a lot of other signs don't during those times, and you've had practice and experience with a lot of disruption the past few years. You and Virgo both. So that's what you have that makes you, can make you both more savvy, but it can also be a stubborn part of your ego where you think you don't have to listen. Why don't you just trust who you need to listen to and who you don't? Don't make this hierarchy thing. Like, don't start to do that to yourself right now. It's really just about listening and accepting the value where you see the value and giving your value to the world and giving your value in the space that you're in or where you're developing into. And if you had a really bad situation with love and you've had to find this strong sense of self to leave the situation, whether it's love or money, and you've needed to shift, this is a great time to shift. You've waited long enough to make the job change, make the career change in your life, and it's a great time to take a risk like that. That may also help you stabilize this emotional and financial thing in a way where you just see it and are aware of it. So if it ever happens again, or the pattern, because they're the patterns of our lives, you'll understand and you'll know, and you'll have an inner sense of knowing through your body. You're absorbing it through your body remembers. And if you're not embodied, this is a great time to get into your breath more. So working out, if you haven't been, or you take a break, or you haven't done it, it's time to get your heart rate up a little bit, to clear your mind in different times, because your intuition is going to be so on point that it makes you so sure. But no one, this is for you. It's a message for you specifically. And if there is a Virgo in your life, or if there's an Aquarius or a Virgo in your life, the situation with the Aquarius is complete opposite than the situation with the Virgo. But you still feel like there's something more that's meant to come. But it just may not be with these people. It's just knowing that you have what you need if things need to change, and if changes are meant to happen in movements, because some of you may also want to move. There's a lot of movement happening, so you may have an unexpected change happen within that realm. And with this position, these people have also helped you for better or for worse, whether it an Aquarius or a Virgo. They've helped show you how capable you really are by whether you believe them or not, whether it was a bad, negative, or a positive. Okay? All right. I'm excited to get into the next part. We got a few majors, a few body parts that's showing up, and lots of green, grounding, heart opening, healing for you Pisces. All right? I work this Saturn because Saturn for you. Okay. All information to work with me is below, and the second part to this reading, which we'll get into even more in depth, is in the Patreon link. That's the first link below. So please take a look there, and we'll catch you next time, Pisces. Lots of abundance coming your way.